Good morning once again, and you are still watching Sunrise at Sea here on CTV. Welcome to Twitter Jabs 2. My name is Agi Owase, and we are continuing the conversation in regard to the Omoro County by-elections that will be taking place on the 26th of May 2022, which is this Thursday. Now, this comes at a time after the passing of the late Right Honorable Speaker Jacob Olanya, and right now we have 6 candidates who are contending for the same post in Omoro District. And just to let you know of some of the candidates, and that is Mr. Simon Tolit Akecha, and that is from the National Unity Platform Party. Mr. Andrew Ojok Olanya, and that is a candidate for the National Resistance Movement ruling party. And also we do have Justin Odong Obia, and who was endorsed by the Forum for Democratic Change. We do have Oscar Kiza of the Alliance for National Transformation, and we also do have independent candidates Jimmy Walter Onen and Terence Odong. And today in particular, we are discussing the fate of the opposition in the Omoro County by-election. And joining me at the center of this conversation to give us more insight in regard to this conversation and what is taking place or will be taking place in Omoro District on the 26th of May 2022 is none other than Mr. Okola Opio Lo Amanu. I hope I pronounced that right, and that is the spokesperson of the Democratic Party. And we also do have Mr. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, and that is the deputy spokesperson of the National Unity Platform Party. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us on Sunrise at Sea this morning.
Good morning.
Oh yes.
Good morning.
To start with, I'd like to ask you, do you think the opposition stands a chance in the Omoro County by-elections on the 26th of May 2022, this Thursday?
It is a clear win for the NUP candidate.
Why would you say that?
Simon Akecha Tolit. The topic sounds so pessimistic. The fate of the opposition. I don't think we have a fate there. In fact, we are far away in the lead. Simon Tolit Akecha is a very outstanding character. He's formidable. He's an astute fellow about health issues. He's not a novice like the NRA candidate. His candidature is purely anchored on the power of the people. So to say that it is a fate, no, it's not a fate. We are very optimistic. Yes, we have challenges of the unfairness of the Electoral Commission, the police and military brutality. The ground is not leveled as it's supposed to be leveled, but we are the National Unity Platform. We go where waters are not only wild, but anywhere that we need to liberate, we shall be there. So for us, this is an election of liberation of the people of Omoro. We have already done much in exposing the poverty in Omoro. I will tell you, my sister Agi, the region of Northern Region, for the 36 years of Museveni's dictatorship, has been befallen with anarchy and war. That which war we still up today investigate, whether its longevity was as a result of the terra magnanimity of the regime, or really Joseph Kony was at it. Because after 20 years in Northern Region, they will have received money in trillions in terms of reconstruction. The PRDP is in phase 3. Now, if I'm talking about phases of releasing money in budgets, that's a lot of money. We have Dr. Deg, we have Deg, we have so many organizations because of what happened there for a long time. That were health reconstruction. I can tell you in 36 years, General Museveni and his cronies, they have not constructed any hospital in Northern Region. Now, if I'm talking about Northern Region, that is glue inclusive, then you will know what is in Omoro. In Omoro, I can tell you, my sister, Old Moroto Road has not been constructed. It has been their cry for a very long time. It is no wonder that after the death of a speaker who has been deputy speaker for 10 years, even the normal Maram Road that would have been at least a given had to be redone to be accessible for the dignitaries who are bringing their big SUVs from Kampala. So the abject poverty, the poor standards of living, anger, okay? You cannot say we have no space there. For a very long time, I have heard and I have listened to the propagandists of the regime and the dictatorial regime at that, who have always asserted that NUP is only a party of Buganda. Of course, it is very offensive, embarrassing, because I am not a Muganda, I am a Msoga. So somebody who thinks that Wasoga are Baganda, for me, it gives me a cast of doubt whether they think we are inconsequential or they are simply numb. In Omoro, the Secretary General of the NRA, the National Resistance Army, unveiled 100 youth of the National Unity Platform in Omoro, not in Kampala.
Yes.
Now that means if you have surpassed an agency of unveiling converts who are 100, it means you are getting them from somewhere where they multiply more than 100, and that is now the truth that the world knows, that we are actually everywhere. We are a nationalistic party, and I can tell you, I am not going to speak about the opposition. I am speaking about my candidate. My candidate is solid. He has won that election in Omoro 3 times. He won in 2011. And do you know the person he beat? Jacob Olanya. He beat Jacob Olanya in 2011. He was never declared. He beat Jacob Olanya in 2016. If you're a journalist by then, you'll remember. They declared the late without results. It is one of the first elections where somebody was declared winner without results. Ugandans are reminiscent of that. They have seen it, they have heard it, and the facts are clear. This is the candidate we have. He is on clutches. The reason he's on clutches is because he is a person who has been fighting for the people of Northern Region. Being an OB of Joseph Kony, he was among the elders who were tasked with going to Garamba with other leaders, inclusive of Chairman Mao, the late Walter Ochola, among others. These were the leaders that were identified. So we have not brought a political novice. We have brought a mentor, we have brought an advisor, and we have brought a formidable character. What we are doing as the NUP is to sensitize everywhere where we see that they have been still lagging behind in terms of the thrust and the importance we as Ugandans must have to unseat these inexposed guys, thugs who came from wherever they came from and took over our country and messed it up to this level. When you go to Northern Region, when you go to Omoro, there is no reason whatsoever why anybody sane in this country should associate with that color yellow.
Okay, we'll be getting back to that, but before I go into the next question later on, we'll actually be joined by, and that is Mr. Emmanuel Dombo, and that is the NRM chairperson of, Omoro district. So we'll be showing that up on CTV as well. But now I'd like to ask you, Mr. Opio, we have seen the Democratic Party pull out of the race. Yes, and there have been allegations that your candidate, and that is Mr. Okello, Godwin Okello, there have been allegations that he was bribed out of the race. So we'd love to get the facts from you, being the spokesperson for the Democratic Party.
Okay, thank you. Actually, it's not true that we pulled out our candidate from the race. We opened up a process and we called for those that wished to contest to express their interest by writing to the Secretary General. We received an application from Mr. Okello Godwin, and then Raquel Jolly. Now, Mr. Okello Godwin is formerly our parliamentary candidate in Aru North County. And Miss Jolly Okot is formerly our flag bearer in Gulu City in the 2021 elections. So when we invited the applications, the two came. And of course, we have a conversation as the top leadership of the party with the leaders that have expressed interest. And after having a conversation, out of their own volition, they decided to withdraw their applications. Now, they withdrew their application at the time when we had not identified a candidate. Of course, our role as leaders is to question how prepared the candidate is, because we never wanted to appear as jokers in these elections. And also, we inherently believe that when the various opposition political parties front candidates, then they diminish their chances of winning. When you look at Omoro district has got 2 counties. That is Tochi County and then Omoro County. Now, Tochi County is represented by a DP member of parliament, that is Honorable Peter Okot. And in Tochi County, I would say, the NRM is in the opposition in Tochi County. That means, sampling from Tochi County, it means that it is even possible to extend the same to Omoro County. So Omoro County is a ground that can be taken over by the opposition. That is if we are organized. Now, going forward, I think there are very many indicators that are in favor of the opposition. One, the NRM government has been in power for 36 years or thereabouts.
Yes. And when you do visit, not only Omoro, but when you do visit various rural areas, you would wonder whether these people have had any benefit of the taxes that they do pay. We expect that, actually, in most villages, especially in the northern region and then the eastern Teso, you see I come from Teso, you realize that our people are still living in grass-thatched houses in this century. Now, that one in itself is an indication that we are still rudimentary, we are still, we are still living in that primitive state. The level of primitivity that we are living in is actually less, it is higher than what it is in middle income status countries. And that is solely the responsibility of government to see to it that the status of people economically is uplifted. Yes, and
they have not done that. So when you look at tomorrow, if the opposition anchors their campaign on issues, fundamental issues, because they are there.
And when you talk about that earlier, you did mention that if the opposition is organized, they can actually take, the seat in Omoro County. But as Democratic Party, are you backing any candidate since, your candidate pulled out of the race?
Yeah, we are not supporting any candidate. And we are open. We even stated it unequivocally that whatever party that wants to work with us, they should express interest in working with us. But we excluded NRM, of course. I know there were allegations of the President General because Lanya's son is more or less his son, so there could be a soft spot, and then he may support. There is even a prominent journalist in the north who went to his Twitter and stated that the following week there is a mega press conference that's going to take place, and that one is going to be it having DP members, and then UPC, and then NRM, and they are going to support Olanya San. But of course, that is not true, and the press conference has not happened. So going forward, I think we couldn't come up to support any opposition candidate because there are many. Now, who do we support? Should we go with the FDC candidate?
You definitely,
or should we go with the NUP candidate?
You would zero down to the candidate that you deem fit, to take up the position. That's what I would think.
Of course, in our opinion, we may have no capacity to interrogate the capacity, the abilities of these candidates than the political parties where they belong.
Yes.
Now, it is the political parties that are to tell us the capacity and the ability of their candidates such that we can make a decision. So we never wanted to enter into that ping pong of associating us with a particular group and then being accused of supporting another group. So we wanted, if it were possible, as the opposition, I think the best thing we would have done is to unite, and then we have one candidate. We come up on the round table. I don't know whether there has been attempts of the sort, but we were not consulted at least, such that even us who do not have candidates, we can throw in our effort behind that candidate that the opposition will have elected.
Okay, we'll be getting back into this conversation, but right now we are joined by Adams Mayambala, and that is one of our journalists at CTV Uganda, and he also is joined by Mr. Emmanuel Dombo, and that is the NRM spokesperson for Omoro District. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Sarah.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very fine. It's a fresh morning here in Omoro District, in Omoro County. We have set our feet here, me and my cameraman and the whole crew in Omoro County, to bring you all updates on CTV, what is going to happen. The election that is going to happen the day after tomorrow. That is going to be Thursday. And I've heard it from the DP spokesperson. They are not supporting any candidate in this race. And of course, I'm joined by Emmanuel Dombo, and he's the Director of Communications in the NRM, to shed some light about what those people, the spokespersons, have raised. Good morning.
Good morning. And good morning, our viewers. I also send you greetings from here in Opit, in Omoro County, in Omoro District.
Mr. Adombo, the spokespersons, the opposition are raising a lot of concerns, a lot of intimidation, voter bribery that is happening here in Omoro. What do you have to say about that, most especially from the NUP camp?
Well, I think they are trying to get a legitimate ground so that when they lose, they'll have something to point to. But so far we have had a very peaceful exercise. The president of NUP was here, and he moved up to Odek. He went to Lalogi. He went to Omoro Town Council. He drove through Omoro. There was no incident. Even when he involved in provocative situations so that he may be tear-gassed and attract public sympathy. That did not happen, but that was for the security. For us, our responsibility here is to look for a vote, and we have come here for about 3 weeks. And I want to tell you that the work that we have put in and the effort, we should definitely have success with Andrew Ojok emerging as winner.
They have spoken about Honorable Seninde and the candidate Andrew Ojok distributing money. And they are saying they have videos as evidence to this.
Well, I don't know. That is for them to show when that becomes helpful for them to do. What I know is that parties are funded by government, and they are given resources to enable them to be able to conduct activities for the parties. One of the activities that we conducted was the expanded conference, where we brought all delegates within the county from all distant places. You cannot bring people in a meeting and you don't feed them, or you provide them with transport to go back. The same thing is going to happen today. The president is coming, and he's still operating under the COVID regime. He's not going to address public rallies, but he's going to address meetings. That's why people were tested for COVID. Now, when people are going to be invited for a meeting, and these are leaders who he's going to talk to, definitely you'd expect that they will be facilitated either to have food to eat or to be given transport to be taken back. We have brought in our trucks from the NRM Secretariat in order to help people transport them. Others may be given a small transport refund for them to go back. That one should not be considered as a bribe.
You've spoken about, the NRM has for long spoken about the NUP not having supporters in Omoro, but we've seen crowds.
So what do crowds mean? You can only say that after the voting. Let us wait and see whether those crowds will be translated into votes in the boxes. But if whoever comes here, even Kofi Olomide, whenever he was coming to Uganda, does he have supporters here or does he have voters? But Kofi Olomide came here as a musician and people came. Bobby Wine is a musician and he's a star in the music industry. Who would not want to look at Bobby Wine and see him? Even if he came here, I would also run and go and look at him. I would be part of the audience who would be counted. Will I therefore be his supporter? So, NUP may be using the popularity of the former member of parliament to try and make a foothold in northern Uganda. But I want to tell you that what they did when the Right Honorable Jacob Bolanya was sick, the demonstrations they did, the statements that they made, those who came for the funeral and complained that they were served with beans without knowing that the family was mourning, definitely the people of Omoro are aware and they cannot take that with a joke.
In studio, we have the spokesperson of Democratic Party and the deputy spokesperson of NUP, Alex Waiswa. Any message for them? And now the DP don't have any candidate. They're not participating in this election.
Now, you can imagine such a person. Now, what is he saying? He doesn't have a candidate. Whom is he supporting? And what did he go to the studio to do?
They are not supporting.
For NUP, I know they have borrowed a candidate from FDC, and for a very long time, Mr. Tolit has been the chairman of FDC in Omoro district. And last time, although he competed as an independent, but he still lost an election. And he was not competing with Ojok, he was not competing with the Right Honorable Lanya. He was competing with somebody totally different. Now, in the circumstances like those, they cannot come up to say that NRM has got any challenges or is intimidating them. Those are their weaknesses, given their historical performance as parties. Me, I want to appeal to the people in Kampala that let them stay focused. Today, the president is going to be here, and he's going to visit 3 venues. The first venue is going to be in Lalogi, the home of the former speaker. He's going to commiserate with members of the family, where he will meet members of the family and a few selected leaders to welcome him. And he will also lay a wreath to the grave. Then secondly, the president is going to have the first meeting in Odek, where he's going to meet delegates from 3 sub-counties, the sub-counties of Arafoyo, sub-county of Achet, and sub-county of Odeke. Then in the afternoon, the president is going to conclude his meeting here where we are, in Opit, where he's going to meet the delegates and members of the public from Omoro Town Council, Lakwaya, Lakwana, and Akidi sub-counties. And once we do that, for us we shall be done, and we shall be only the voter exercise that is remaining is voting by the population and vote protection by the National Resistance Movement. And once the NRM, the Independent Electoral Commission, gathers the results, declares them, we should be hitting the road in Kampala to escort Andrew Jok to go and swear in as the Member of Parliament elected for Omoro County.
Mr. Emmanuel Dombo, the men in studio have burning questions that we want to hear. They want to throw at you.
My question to Mr. Dombo, if you look around you, just to look around you, behind you, are you contented with that life? And for 36 years, can you be proud that that is what you've given to the people of Omoro, Mr. Dombo?
That's what I wanted to ask.
And the other last one is, you have always said,
the deputy spokesperson,
he has always said,
is saying, looking at the background we have, are you happy with what
the standard of living?
Mr. Waiswa may not know that this place where we're standing was an IDP for over 10 years. All the people of Omoro were collected in Opit, in this place. And this was an IDP where people were staying, being protected by government and being fed by international agencies. Losing over 10 years in his, actually 20 years in insurgency, you cannot expect that people will transform overnight. Mr. Waiswa is good that he can now see the difference between Kampala, where he is, and Omoro, and that has been so because the NRM has worked and provided stability. In the areas he's seeing stability and progress. Now that progress has returned to northern Uganda, I want to tell you, given the soil fertility, the programs of government, even northern Uganda is going to transform. And I want to tell you that northern Uganda has the potential to somersault and overtake many areas in Uganda because there is a lot of unexploited potential that is still full. So, Bwana Waiswa, seeing those hearts, let him empathize and sympathize with the people of northern Uganda. But they will overcome with the support from the NRM government.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dombo. That is Mr. Dombo. He's the head of communications at the NRM party. And today they are expecting the president to come here in Omoro County. And today is the last day of elections. And tomorrow is going to be a day of reflecting and perhaps throwing some messages here and there to the voters. And then on Thursday, people are going to go to the ballots, the voters to vote for their next Omoro MP here in Omoro County. And there are 6 candidates that are vying for this position. We have the NRM candidate, and that is Andrew Ojok, the son to the late Jacob Bolanya. We have Simon Tolit Akecha, is the NUP candidate. And then we have FDC's Justin Odong and 2 other independent candidates, and also the ANT candidate who is called Chiza. We shall keep you updated here in Omoro District. Adams Mayambala, back to you in studio.
Well, thank you so much for that submission, Mr. Adams Mayambala. Definitely we will be, letting you know on all the occurrences that will be taking place today ahead of the 26th of May elections in Omoro District. Well, back to our conversation earlier, Mr. Opio talked about, why the reason why the Democratic Party pulled out of the race. Now, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Waiswa, because you are, you subscribe to the opposition party, and that is the National Unity Platform. And we definitely would expect that in this kind of by-election that is very heated up, that the opposition would come together and, front probably one candidate that they see or deem fit and be, give them all the support that they need in that moment. So what's your take on DP coming out clearly to state that they will not be backing up any candidate?
But they gave us the space. Where would they us to get them when they give us the space?
And you bothered by the fact that, they're not...
No, they gave us the space. That's humble enough. Yes. That's humble enough. I cannot be bothered with colleagues who gave us space. I will not be right. They gave us space.
Yes.
But what is important, I want to tell you, galvanizing support for the option is I have had Mr. Dombo say that we got a popular candidate. Even when you listen to him, you wonder the person who is speaking. You really see a person who has been paid to be silly, because he's telling you people went to see a musician. Then he's telling you we are riding on a popular FDC candidate who did not win the previous election. That must be a silly person speaking. But that is where we have gone. Our elders have deteriorated to eating leftovers for others to blossom. Look at the standard of living of the people of Omoro. There is no reason whatsoever on this planet that you can give anybody 36 years of anarchy and impunity and you deliver that and you're proud. That man, Dombo, is driving a 1 billion fuel guzzler. Okay? I can tell you in Omoro, there is nothing that even costs 500 million shillings. You have seen their houses. The roads look like the houses. The hospitals look like the houses. And this is what we have been talking about, that these resistors have robbed our nation. Omoro, for the last 20 years, is one of the leading areas in soya. It is called simsim. Is it simsim? Soya. One of those soya cereals. I can tell you, just marketing that, if you are a sober government, if you are an exposed government, you could have very different results. But the challenge that we have been having is people like Dombo. They always think about their stomachs rather than their countries. Let me tell you, in Omoro, the other day, when the president was in Omoro, first of all, I want to categorically state that Bobby Wine is a musician, a star at that. I want to be clear on that. But when he is operating in the system of liberating this country, is His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. But of course, novices like them, inexposed people like Dombo, will not always differentiate people who have quite different lives.
I think would rather be a little bit civil in this conversation.
I am being extremely very civil, my sister. If you want to see me bare knuckle, it will be different. I'm being civil and I'm being factual. I want to tell you, we cannot be civil when this country is being robbed of its plight.
Yes.
We can't be civil. We are not the type. The reason we are there, and you've heard them, now they are saying they are working hard against NUP. It means that they have been deceitful people to the country, that we don't exist in Northern Region.
Okay.
I told you that 100, they claimed 100 had crossed. Now they were crossing from where to where? Where were they coming from? So this election has also assisted us in exposing their deceit about our existentiality in Northern Region. And I can tell you, Tolit is too late not to be the MP of Omoro.
Okay, now speaking of Tolit Akecha, and you know, being the national unity platform that has so many youths in the party, isn't there a younger candidate that you could have fronted and backed? Why did it have to be Tolit Akecha, you know, who has been in this race for quite some years, by the way? And I mean, he's older, so we would want to know what is the reason why you chose, you know, to front Tolit and not a younger, you know, candidate.
We are a generational party, but we are also alive to the customs and cultures of Ugandans. Let me tell you, in Northern Region, elders are still treated with dignity. We have been at this. That is why this question also happened with Kassiano Wadri. And I can tell you, we were not devoid of candidates. In just that process, we had 6. We had Rachel, she's about 28. We had Sokondo, he's about 34. We had Mungu, he's about 29, Mungu Brian. We had Ochola, he's about 37, 38. But the power, we are anchored on people power. We don't make decisions ourselves. We are anchored on people power. That is our baseline. That is that is our cognito of ideology. Now, what the people of Omoro say is what we go for. When we took our teams to know who would be the right candidate, I can tell you, Agi, without doubt, with all honesty, I can look in the eyes of the camera and tell them that the real candidate, the lead candidate for Omoro, was Simon Tolit Akecha. And as National Unity Platform, we deliver the desires of the people. And that is exactly why he's holding our umbrella. And I can tell you, we are young people, but we need advice. Even here on this media platform, you're looking extremely asked to doing your job. But I know behind all this production, you have variances of age in terms of giving the best. We are a magnanimous political party. We have all young women, girls, children, and the elderly. The elderly play a big role in every political institution, advisory at that. And I will remind you that when we went for the burial, when the president went for the last funeral to delay to do his wreath, I am hearing Mr. Dombo speak about His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi and the death of Oulanyah. How do you say that the death of Oulanyah is on the National Unity Platform when he was actually poisoned by the people of the National
Yes, those are allegations.
Let me speak,
those are still allegations at the moment.
Now let me own the allegations. Just give me a minute. I own the allegations. I can take whatever it comes with. Alex Waiswa is my name. The candidate of Mr. Oulanyah Jacob, the former speaker, it is on record by his father. It is on record by the Prime Minister of the Acholi. It is on record by the Vice President of the NRA, Buganda, Honorable Chiwanda. It is on record by many of those who are truly his friends that he confided in to them that he had been poisoned. Now, if you want to take away that allegation, you can, but Alex Waiswa will tell you that the people of Omoro cannot, they will not go with a group of bandits who did not only bring anarchy to have that type of living, but also murdered their son in cold blood by use of poison. So if you're talking about those who are talking about the whole of northern region to have hospitals, because the voices in Seattle were clear. We spent 1.5 billion on transport on a patient that was never touched by the medical personnel because of his condition. But in northern region, the whole of northern region has a population of about 11 million people. I can tell you they have one hospital, Lachoro Hospital, as one of their greatest hospitals. But Lachoro Hospital needs 2 billion to have a heart, a machine that works on the hearts of those people. Yes. They sat as politicians and said we are going to have this money come together in one basket. For the 2 billion, they have not even collected the 100 million shillings. But the speaker, they used 1.5 billion. That type of living, I can tell you, every day, including the day when we were there, somebody gave birth in our car because we were rushing them to an unknown destination of hospital. So it gives you that they are beginning to to think that we are in charge of murdering Oulanyah, and yet the Emmanuel Dombos were in charge of poisoning the late Jacob Oulanyah. And I can tell you, if they poisoned your father, you would not want to go there.
Those are still allegations. It's still on record.
There are allegations to you, and the police. And are you aware that? Are you aware? Just a minute for the public. Are you aware that the police dropped the charges?
In the interest
Do you know that what does silence means? Do not fear these things, my sister. When you're doing anything that is right, be proud. And our generation should be proud of wherever there is darkness to put the light, because these thugs who have robbed this country used the appeasement policy to appease our fathers, to maraud them and blackmail them with fear. They didn't conquer the fear, and that is why we are in this mess. So I want to urge you as a journalist as well, not to lit off your light where there is darkness. Jacob Oulanyah was poisoned by the regime. And I can say that today, I will say it at night, I will say it tomorrow. And the reason they are voting us overwhelmingly,
in the interest of time, I'd like to cut you short.
The reason they are voting us overwhelmingly is simply because their son was murdered by the very people now who are singing praises for another candidate.
Okay. Now to you, Mr. Opio, definitely we did see Mr. Emmanuel Dombo, and that is the NRM spokesperson, talk about if DP is not in the race, then why are you in studio? You talked about that. And I'd like to ask you, as a spokesperson of the Democratic Party, who will be actually watching on the sideways when it comes to the 26th of May, when the elections will be going on, what are your expectations of these elections?
First of all, I am in the studio because I was invited.
Absolutely, yes.
So that one answers him. But also to bring to his attention that he has got no right whatsoever, and nobody has got a right to ostracize the election, the by-election, in Omoro because you people are in Omoro because it is a national agenda. And what happens in Omoro is actually it's a manifestation of what is elsewhere. You have looked at the life that our people are living in Omoro. It's not only in Omoro, by the way. Even if you go to Honorable Dombo's home, you will find grass-thatched houses.
The other day he was struggling with internet.
Now, that means that we have not been given what we deserve as Ugandans, as taxpayers. You see, people should know, I think I should speak this out also, that the citizenry go into a social contract with those in government or the state. And they expect, among others, to be protected, to be planned for, to be given public, or you say public goods or merit goods. And if the government does not do that, that means they have abdicated on their duty or obligation in the contract. Now, as Ugandans, ours is to pay the tax, and we are able at doing that. But as you can see, the government has failed to deliver on their obligation. That's one. Two, I just wish to, give a little advice to my brother. You see, you do not have to waste your valuable time all the time, asserting the fact that you are in the north. Of course, you are a nationalistic party. This is a narrative that DP has been battling with for over, I would say, some 50 years. And they have been saying that DP is a party that is only in the central. But by action, we have proven to them that, look, we are not a party here. So I think you shouldn't fall prey to the propaganda that is propelled by the NRM. Yeah, you shouldn't waste your time on that. Now, going forward, I think what's going to happen in Omoro is, like I told you, the opposition has got higher chances. I am only praying that if it were possible, maybe we would have a conversation between today and tomorrow, and we agree on a single candidate. That one would give us a mileage as well. But also the other thing that I think should be given priority is protecting the vote. Because we are dealing with a group that is willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, whatever it takes and everything to see to it that they prove to themselves and to members of the general public that they are still a popular party, and that whatever they are telling people is right. So guarding the vote is very, very important. Because in Uganda, by the way, you can win the election, but winning an election is not enough in itself.
Yes.
You have to go beyond that. You must be having a capacity to transform that win into power. And how do you do that? When you get to office.
Definitely.
Now, getting to office there, being declared, there must be serious strategies that are to be deployed. And that's why when you go into a coalition, it is possible to coalesce various experiences and advices and strategies from various political players. And then you see to it that you buttress and then concretize, the strategy that can lead you to being declared the winner and therefore getting the power.
Okay. Mr. Weiss, I would like to get your final remarks in regard to the 26th of May by-election in Omoro District as we wrap up the conversation.
I want to tell you, for me, my message will be, we are going to protect the vote. And we know they are planning what they did in Kayunga. And their candidate does not even know the language. It is very disturbing. He doesn't know the language. They have brought him as an heir to the late. Even his names are illegally wrong, because as you are aware that he just added the name of Olanya, it's not on his papers, but they are the state. It is very unfortunate in Uganda that crime is orchestrated by the state. It is not everywhere. You don't find it easily common in countries where anarchy is fully orchestrated, but they are the NRA, they are resistors of the people.
Yes.
This election is important because it exposes more of the regime. When you go to now Omoro, they are saying they have been in war, they have given you that as a reason. But even Dombo himself, where he's coming from, is worse than where he was standing. You can imagine his shirt is more expensive than the houses around. And that has been their mindset. They have been thinking about themselves. They have not been thinking about the people.
Yeah.
So for us, we are excited about this election. We have had a good reception of the same. He is saying that the people don't want us because our party we demonstrated in Seattle, the words we said, and then that very individual in the very interview, it is ironic, the very interview tells you he was welcomed because he's an artist. Now you begin to wonder the people who have been in charge of this country, whether they surely have brains or not. But the good news is we are here, and we are here to liberate Uganda, and that we shall do at whatever cost.
Well, we definitely wish you all the best. Yes.
End with these remarks. On our way to Omoro on Saturday, we lost 2 colleagues in a fatal accident. The late Chigundu, who was our councillor in Kazo, Angola, and the late Waiswa Dennis, who we buried off yesterday in Kamuli. Our other colleagues are in critical condition. We are praying for Councillor Nusfa Nakato, my longtime friend and sister, who is now in ICU fighting for her life. Senono Dennis, Sharon Wabobi, and many others. There were 8 in the vehicle, so many of our colleagues, and the journalist called Chitamirike of BBS. So I wanted to use this opportunity also to say we are praying for them, and we are praying for the families of those that lost their lives. But the beauty about it is that they lost their life in the line of duty. They were not stealing, they were not caught in lodges, they died in the line of liberating the people of Omoro. And I can promise you that those who passed on, we shall live with those testimonies and make sure that what they died fighting for is realized by the entire populace and the generation.
Yes, well, that definitely was a very unfortunate incident, and condolences to the bereaved families, and we definitely do wish all the people that are recovering in hospital a quick recovery. And thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on Sunrise at Sea this morning. Your submissions are very much appreciated.
We are humbled.
Okay, well, that wraps up the conversation that we had for you here on our Twitter Jabs 2, and we've been deliberating on the matter of the Omoro County by-election that will be taking place on the 26th of May 2022, which will be this Thursday. And the people that I've been with in studio are Mr. Okola Opio, and that is the spokesperson for the Democratic Party, as well as Mr. Alex Waiswa Mufumbira, and that is the deputy spokesperson of the National Unity Platform Party. But do not go anywhere. Sunrise at Sea continues. Don't blink.